Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Looking at 4 games here on Sunday in the NBA playoffs as we roll along with day 2 of these game ones that we've got here in the postseason. Going to be looking at just straight bets in this video. Don't really have any projections or game insights as far as the overall games go, but I've got 6 player props that I've already played myself, throwing those in the Discord as well. So make sure that you do check out the description of the video if you want the link to that Discord where we've got all these great conversations going on right now. A lot of good looks that are coming my way from the community as well. Definitely want to jump in there and subscribe to that page so you don't miss these videos that come out, and then you can hit that live stream that we've got every single day moving forward in these playoffs on the weekends, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, as it will be on Sunday, and then during the weekdays, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you check those out as well to get some of those bets. You guys bring your bets, jump in the comments, we go through it together and make sure that we like what we're looking at. So without further ado, let's jump right into Sunday. These bets are in chronological order of how these games are going. They're not necessarily my favorite plays of the day in order, but I like all of them enough to have already bet them. And I'm kicking it off here with Jrue Holiday over 15.5 points and assists. And this is a little bit of a tough one for me at first because I didn't really know if I should go with Jrue or Derek White, which is constantly the conversation because they do things so similarly. But there's some pretty stark numbers here for Jrue that made it stand out to me, right? 12 straight versus Miami, dating back to when he was on that Bucks team, going over this points and assist number. Granted, a much bigger role in Milwaukee than he has here with Boston, but still 3 in a row with Boston all this season that he's gone over against this Heat team as well. Averaging this season specifically 16 a game, 6 dimes, 8 potential assists. So he's definitely getting a very high amount of assists compared to the amount of potentials. A very high percentage of them turn into actual assists. But I thought it was really interesting that he's also getting that many potentials. And that's with Jason Tatum, KP, Derek White, and Jaylen Brown all on the floor together. So all these numbers are all with the full lineup that they'll have as well on Sunday. Miami allows the second most points per game to spot ups. That's why I really like Jrue's numbers for the points. And specifically for him, and what did kind of separate him from Derek White on the scoring especially, is that he shoots more corner threes. Derek White plays a little bit further up above the break on the wings and at the top of the key, whereas Jrue Holiday is the one that gets pushed down a little bit further and ends up in the corner there, where he's a little bit better at driving to the rim from the baseline, feels more comfortable there. So they put him in good position to score with those easy corner threes, and the fact that he's not even one of the top 2-3 options on the team on the starting lineup, it helps to have him sort of go under the radar and get those easy shots in the corner. So kick it off with an over for the points and assists on Jrue Holiday, and move right into a bet from the same game for Kevin Love to go over his points and rebounds. Now, we don't have a line yet for K Love, but I'm projecting it at about 10.5, maybe 11.5, because he had such a big game last game. Maybe they bump this thing up to 11.5. But with both those numbers, and it could be lower, by the way, it could be at 9.5, but I wanted to let you know how high I would play this prop to as soon as we see Kevin Love's props come out, right? Projecting for him about 16 to 18 minutes. This is without Jimmy Butler, so that's a big part of all of it. He's gone over in 7 of 7 without Jimmy, with 12 plus minutes this season. So as long as he's getting at least 12 minutes, he's gone over the 10.5 number 7 out of 7 times. He's gone over the 11.5 number 5 out of 7 times in all these games where he gets at least 12 minutes with Jimmy Butler out. And I think this is the moment in time that you're going to see him come in. One, he plays a little bit more versus Boston. He's got 18 minutes a game versus Boston this season. You put Kevin Love at 18 minutes per game in those games that he played without Jimmy Butler, and you're talking about bumping those numbers up to about 14.5 points and rebounds combined, averaging in those 7 games without Jimmy buckets, right? So I think he's going to keep getting that because you need some help rebounding. You need to give Bam specifically some help rebounding without Jimmy Butler in here as their second best rebounder in the starting lineup and probably on the team, honestly, after you take Bam Adebayo out. So with K-Love, the need for a big guy, you're going to see him get those minutes. You're going to see him be a little bit more involved, and they're going to want him to stretch out and keep Kristaps away from the rim as much as possible. So when he plays that small ball 5 or just regular 5, whatever you want to call it, then he's a lot more likely to be standing out there on the 3-point line, taking some of those threes, which he's taken a good amount of. So we're going to take him to continue having success against Boston without Jimmy Butler as long as he gets those minutes. Moving into this Pelicans and Thunder game here, we're going back to the Jonas Valanciunas well after he did so well for us in that last game against the Kings. Not the Kings that he's going up against, but still a lot to like about why he's going to go over his 19.5 points and rebounds combined in this one. And I really like the points as much as anything here. So looking at why, nobody else even shoots from down low for this Pelicans team, right? You cannot just be a strictly jump shooting team against the Thunder, who are a very good jump shooting defense. You have to go down low and bang down low with the soft, well, I'm not going to call Chet soft, but he's definitely given up a ton of pounds to Joval, right? So with that in mind, like, you've got to still have some inside out game, and that's where Joval comes into play, because nobody else on this team is even shooting 3 shots per game inside of 5 feet. Zion shoots about 11 almost shots right next to the rim. Joval shoots almost 4 shots next to the rim inside of 5 feet. Nobody else even gets to 3. Everybody else is about 2.5 or fewer shots inside of 5 feet for this Pelly's team. You can't have that. And Nance, we've seen him not get quite as much time without Zion on the floor. Now, I think Larry Nance is probably a good play in this one as well, with points and rebounds. However, I do bank on Joval getting the bulk of these minutes and a bulk of the usage when he's actually in the game, so that this Thunder defense needs to respect the inside out game, like I'm saying here. You look at the stark numbers without Zion in the game, and we talked about this in the previous videos where we're breaking down the Kings game. This dude goes over in 11 of 13 games this season without Zion, averaging 6 more points per game, 17.2 without him, 11.4 with him, and he takes about 3 more shots as well. The minutes go up by about 5 per game. You can't, Willie Green doesn't feel comfortable having no other bigs on the floor, including just Larry Nance, without Zion out there. That's why you see Nance's numbers dwindle without Zion in the game, and Joval's go up, because they actually trust him to be the only center on the floor. So I'm going to keep going back to it. I understand that a lot of people think this isn't the best matchup for Joval, and that Chet is somebody that you would rather have Larry Nance guarding than you would Joval. But I don't agree. I think you need to punish him down low on defense, make Chet really feel your presence as a center when he's on the defensive end of the floor, and nobody on this team can do it better than Jonas Valanciunas. Moving on to one of my favorite players in the NBA and someone that should be on the first team all defense this year, Herb Jones, going over 2 different bets here, and we get plus money on both of them, which I love. Over 10.5 points, plus 100 on DraftKings, half a unit. Split that unit, the full unit there, to get him on over 1.5 threes as well, and a little bit more juice, plus 124 on DraftKings for him to get the 2 made threes. I am not a proponent of and a supporter of betting on Herb Jones threes for the most part, but this is one instance where I definitely am. And the reason I'm usually not in favor of Herb Jones over on 3-pointers, it's because he doesn't take that many. Like, I don't know if he could take anywhere from 2 to 4, and I really don't want to bank on him having to hit 50% or 65% of his threes if he's only taking 3 or 4 shots from deep. However, against this team, the Thunder, they are the most vulnerable in the corner, on the corner 3 there. He's gone over both of these props, just points and threes, in 2 of 3 versus OKC. Didn't get very many minutes in the first game of the season that he played against them, but he's still averaging 31 a game minutes per game on 11 shots per game this season in those 3 against Oklahoma City. 7 threes that he's attempted on average, 6, 7, and 8 threes in respectively in the 3 games he played this season versus this team, because they're the most vulnerable in the corner, and that's where Herb Jones is doing most of his damage. He's one of the best corner 3-point shooters, or at least most frequent 3-point shooters from the corner in the league. And the corner 3 is the easiest one in the league because it's the closest to the basket. But either way, he's shooting 30% of his shots from that spot, and they will close out on him, because 7 threes a game is going to be something that you have to respect. If he's going to pull that shot, you've got to respect it, right? And that ball ends up in the corner because this team is so good. The Thunder are so good at playing perimeter defense, pressuring the ball and the ball handler, and limiting jump shooters in general, to be honest. It's really important that they find that sort of last man who's once they're rotating the ball around the perimeter, and that usually is Herb Jones, as everybody else is taking their threes from above the break. Herb Jones is the one down there in the corner getting a lot of shots up for a dude that doesn't normally get 11 shots a game, right? He's much more close to about 7.5, 8 shots per game on the season. So that extra bump in like 3 extra field goals, because he is the dude standing in the best spots to score against the Thunder. I got to go back to him in a game where they're going to need some extra points coming, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him attacking the rim as well. So going to take him for both the 10.5 points and the over 1.5 threes made, half a unit on each of those on DraftKings. Moving into this Clippers game against the Mavs, and we know that Kawhi Leonard is now out. So I'm sure a lot of people want to figure out who to bet on and take their overs without Kawhi out, but I'm going with my first one, an under for James Harden and his assists. Under 9.5 dimes for Harden in this one, minus 130 on DraftKings, still taking that for a full unit. So he's gone under in 8 of 11 without Kawhi this season. He's averaging 8.6 assists in these games without Kawhi on 15.7 potential assists, right? Now, the 15.7 potential assists, still pretty high. However, to get 10, right, it's not the best percentage that you have to rely on here. You still need him to get assists on about 66% of his potential assists if he follows these numbers, which he's been doing actually at a more reasonable rate, right? 8.6 on 15.7, about 56% of his potential assists are turning into assists, right? However, this team is a very bad shooting team without Kawhi. They're honestly just not that good or impressive without Kawhi in general on the season. They missed 7 more field goal attempts without Kawhi on the season than when he's in there, right? And their percentage goes way down as well. 49.5% from the field on the season when Kawhi plays, and they are down to about 46% in those games when Kawhi does not play. So that's a big deal. Like I said, missing 7 more shots. They're taking a few more shots, but it's also because they do try to play a little bit faster when you have Russ Westbrook, and Terrence Mann as your as a big part of your backcourt, and not Kawhi handling the ball quite as much. Then you're going to see those numbers go up in pace, but that doesn't necessarily mean good things for Harden, as this team is just not effective, I should say also efficient is the word I'm looking for here, on their jump shots the way they are when Kawhi's in the game. It makes things easier for everybody. And last thing here is that Dallas is actually a very good defense now, like a really good defense since Daniel Gafford was inserted into the starting lineup, and they become much better at limiting assists to point guards. Now, they're already good, according to Courtside Pal. Really useful tool. Jump in the description of the video for the link to Courtside Pal so you can see player profiles versus team defenses. And this team defense of the Mavericks limits his profile, that is James Harden, to the 4th fewest assists on the season, meaning that guys that are playing a lot of pick and roll and playing in the spots that he is with his tendencies, they do not get these types of assist numbers versus the Dallas Mavericks, who've also started limiting assists way more once they got Daniel Gafford into the lineup as well. In the middle of the pack now in terms of limiting assists, as opposed to like a bottom 5 team in that category before that. So taking Harden on the under for assists, final bet is going to be Zoo. I love betting on Zoo in these right situations, and without Kawhi, this is the man actually to bet on some of the over stuff here. Similar to how when Zion goes out for the Pellies, and now the Pellies are looking for a big man to sort of make sure that they have rebounding and down low presence without Zion in there. Similar to Kawhi, who's the only dude who's really attacking the rim for this Clippers squad, at least more than anybody else, that's for sure, and more capable than anybody else. So for Zoo, we're going to take over on the points and rebounds in this game, where I do think that they're going to need him to battle the 3-ish centers that this Mavs team has to throw at him. So you look at him without Kawhi, for starters, over in 10 of 12 without this man on the season for this points and rebounds prop. The only 2 unders, he went 6 minutes. He averaged 13. It was like 10 and 16 minutes that he got on in those 2 games. One was against the Thunder, and the other one was against the Utah Jazz, who they blew out, right? So not really worried about them blowing out the Mavs. If anything, I'd be more worried that they get blown out. But Zoo will be in there for a decent amount of time. Now, his minutes don't change too much, 26 minutes per game, basically, with and without Kawhi. But everything else goes up, right? 2 more points per game, 2 more rebounds per game, and 2 more shots per game as well, because like I said, if Kawhi's not in there, there aren't nearly as many guys on this team to shoot around the basket, which you're still going to want to do to make sure that you can open up some of that 3-point shooting that kind of increases once you don't have Kawhi out there. So we're taking Zoo in a good spot to be the only big man that they really trust. You'll get some Plumlee in there, but Plumlee's not going to take away from the 26 minutes that we'll see from Zoo. So with the shots that I believe he's going to get up and the fact that they're going to need him to board a ton, I'm going to combine that as points and rebounds and go over 19.5 for Ivica Zubac. And that is all the time that I have for you guys in this one. Going to be coming back tomorrow on Sunday with that live stream, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you check that out. Also, jump in the description of the video. We got lots of helpful links in there, including the Discord and all the tools that I'm using to find the information that I'm bringing you guys for these bets. Hopefully you found something out of this. Hopefully I'll see y'all tomorrow. And until I do see you next, happy betting.